Hey y'all, seems like just yesterday I was doing a League of Legends reading, but now it's patch 10.5 notes by Hannah. Joy Shouju. Woo. Things we're hoping for nerfs to Maokai, we're hoping for nerfs to Ornn, we're hoping for nerfs to Echo, Heimerdinger buffs. Anyway, let's see how Joy Shouju has got it shaken for us. Hi, this patch we're addressing the 0 CS top lane problem in a more systematic way. To squash similar situations in the future, Sona and Soraka were just the tip of the iceberg of the hypothetical 0 top lane, 0 CS top lane playstyle. So we're making larger changes to the top lane that should remove such strategies from showing up in the future, while also allowing games to be carried by those in the lane. Current pro play mainstays Ornn and Set are also seeing some nerfs, so that we're not consistently seeing folks getting rammed down the throat, rammed down and thrown around by these beefy dudes. We also have a second round of jungle champion changes to help slightly widen that pool. We also got some ARAM balance changes, as well as the initial release of elements. You can already see that in the client. This is the Riot Games, like, in uh, Team Fortress 2, when you can get a name tag, and the name tag will, like, track how many kills you've gotten with that gun. That's what this is. It's like a pay-to-stat collect sort of deal. Um, like other features and content outside Summoner's Rift, these types of changes might not be might be for you, and that's okay. So just do you play ARAM, try out Eternals, purchase skins, or don't. Blah blah blah. Buffed. Ali Graves. Ooh, Graves probably didn't need a buff. Kaisa did need a buff. Kayn, he was middle ground. Lissandra was okay. Neeko, maybe. Sivir, sure. Sona buff, probably not a great idea. Nerfs to Amumu Bard. Bard was seeing some pretty seriously high win rate numbers. Blitzcrank, Ornn, Rammus set. Sure. Champions. Alistair. We're giving him plus 25 base health. And his passive, once Triumph stacks are consumed, Alistair can gain new stacks after 3 seconds to immediately. So he'll be doing more little heals. We're pulling him back. Cooldown reduction on the alt back to 150 at level 1, and then it's still 10 seconds higher at level 2, so a little bit worse in the mid game there. 20 seconds on your cooldown is not super fun. Bard, we're moving the damage down per 5 chimes from 15 to 12. After a history of journeying under the radar, Bard has to be pulled back due to how much he's succeeded in high levels of play. We're slightly reducing the impact of the Meep's sweet chime music. Let's crank. Small nerf since he just barely hits our targets. Armor from 40 to 37. Perfect! Blitz is pretty good. Blitz definitely falls off in higher tiers of stuff, but like Righteous Glory and Mobility Boots, if Blitz or Thresh want to get on top of you, they will. And then you just get CC chained. But at least it's riskier for them than like a Leona. Leona just fucking runs at you. Or Nautilus. I feel like there's more counterplay to Blitzcrank than Nautilus. So I don't really mind him. Graves, we're buffing his magic resist from 30 to 32, magic resist growth from 1 to 1.25, and capping the mana cost of Q to its level 1 cost. And the cooldown has been slightly reduced from 13 to 12, scaling down by 1 second in all. Sure. Q AP ratio decreased, upgraded missiles increased, W base damage and AP ratio increased. Blah, 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 blah. Q. Damage ratio from 0.4 to 0.25. Living weapon upgrade from 10 to 12. Okay. So this does less damage anyway, even with 2 extra. Right? Or more damage. I don't know. They should put like a plus sign. More damage. Maybe this does more? The damage ratio is down by 15%. But you get 2 extra missiles? I don't know. I guess we'll see. W Void Seeker, damage, blah blah blah. Flat is up by 10. Ability power scaling up by 10%. Total AD down by 20%. Or by 0.2. Don't have to talk in percents. Down by 0.2 on attack damage. Living weapon upgrade, 50% cooldown refunded against champions to 70% cooldown refunded against champions. Okay. Whatever. Kaisa can be a problem sometimes, but at least she's unique and kind of cool. She was way worse last season, though. And by worse, I mean you wanted to die when you were playing against her, not that she was bad. Smoothing out Kayn's transformations rules so he's not punished due to confusion or complexity. We're adding a slight buff to his catching ability too. Overall, makes him easier to succeed with. Cast of the Dark Scythe. Orb gain grant. Increase 8 to 12 minutes. Increase consistently every second after 5 minutes, flattening out at 13 minutes. Okay. And the slow is up by 10%. Good for him. I like Kayn. Lysandra, blah, blah, blah. Damage ratio up by 0.1. That's fine. Neeko, base attack speed growth and ratio increased. They had to, on release, they had to tone this down, so this might be from, like, when she was released. AD Neeko was pretty good. Giving Neeko some buffs for any situation, no matter what shape she takes. 3 to 3.5. AD ratio up from 6.45 to 6.7. Sure. Tangle Barbs. Damage ratio up by 0.2. That's actually really good. And the Pop Blossom. Shield is bigger by 25, and the ability power increases also by 25. Huh. Well, that's some serious Neeko buffs. We'll see how this goes. I don't know if she needed all of those at the same time. Whatever. Ornn Living Forge. Brittle proc damage from 12 to 20.5% of target's maximum HP to 10 to 18, so down by 2% at both. Masterwork item auto upgrade from 12 to 13. Oh, that's going to make such a huge difference. Ally Masterwork upgrade availability also increased by 1 level. Okay. This is not enough. This is definitely not enough. I would have taken the brittle down even further. I would have went from like 8. Eight to 15 or something. That sounds better to me. Rammus. Attack speed duration. Nerf his passive armor scaling. Definitely. Definitely a good call by Quib. Base stats attack speed ratio taken down from 6.56, which was the perfect number in my opinion. When I was playing Rammus, I always thought to myself, I hope that they make his attack speed ratio 6.56 or 0.656. That's perfect. But now they've ruined it and it's back to 6.25. So we'll see how that goes. Is this the first set nerf? I think they might have nerfed him a little bit earlier. Health regen growth. This is probably the most impactful one. Health regen and health regen growth were really, really dangerous on this guy. You'd think he was dead and then he'd walk it out. Also, he got shredded by 6, or no, that's not 6, 4 armor. That's pretty good. Slow duration 1.5 seconds to target and all enemies to 1 second to target and all enemies. So 0.5 seconds removed off of the CC. Set properly gets assist credit even when the target dies while suppressed. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Sivir! Ooh, that's actually really good. You get a plus 10% move speed bonus on maxed out Sivir. That's really good. Damage per pass, 35. Okay, so this is all the same. Yeah. And then we get ability power scaling. I didn't know that this had AP scaling. I guess that there's no AP in Triforce anymore, right? Now that they... Yeah, there's not... There's no tome in Triforce. To total AD is what they changed. What did they change? 30... Okay, they damage per pass from 55 to 50, 65. And then the damage scaling, late, from 1.1 to 1.3. Okay, so that's where the change comes in. It's kind of hard to read. There's so many numbers. On the hunt, blah, blah, blah. Sona, I don't think she needed any buffs. She was doing really good. We're reverting the mid-patch 10.4 changes since we decided to go forward with changes to the tribute support question line. I think that they just want quest here. Because you do a quest to upgrade your trinket, right? To the tribute support quest line. That's what I would say. Including Spellthief's Edge. In this patch, all in all, that should bring her back to respectable levels in her main lane and keep her out of the top lane for good. Base armor up by 4. AD growth up by 1. And the movement speed to self, yeah, they gutted this pretty bad. 10 scaling up to 14 to 20 flat again. They did this upgrade in patch 10.2 or something before she became a problem, and then they're like, oh my god, we got to get rid of that. Out of range cast changes, blah blah blah. Misfortune E, make it rain. So your character will move properly. That's cool. A little buff to Jungle Darius. A little buff to Jungle Mord. A little buff to Jungle Poppy. Top lane significance. Turret plates grant more gold, take more damage from melee champions, and are more resilient to group pushes. I don't like the sound of that. We're changing turret plating in a few ways toward the goal of making it a more appealing top lane objective for solo melee pushers. Since plates take more damage from melee champs, most of the top lane roster will have to either time during them, wow, I cannot read. Let's get this right. Most of the top lane roster will have an easier time downing them, and an easier time securing first turret gold as a result. Increasing bulwark resistance means group pushes won't be as rewarding, with gank bot and setup for dragon, the most common group push case in lane phase. Higher gold value adds extra consequences to these changes. All said, the trade-offs for abandoning a lane and roaming will be literally more costly once 10.5 hits. To ranged readers, the second and third lines even out to you dealing the same damage to plating as you did before. We just didn't want to say turret plates take increased damage from melee champions. So plate gold is up from 120 to 160. Good. Range resistance turret plates take 17 reduced damage from range champions. An interesting number. Outer turret armor and MR 40. Okay, so loses some. Bulwark resistance 35 per nearby enemy champion past the second. 45. Outer turret armor and MR after plates have fallen 40 unchanged. Okay, whatever. We'll see how that goes. Maybe that means that I should play more Gangplank. Blade of the Ruined King has been out of fighter inventories for a while now. We're buffing it to be a luxury option for shredding through juggernauts and tanks. Basic attacks deal bonus physical damage on hit equal to 8% of current health to 8% current health for ranged users and 12% for melee users. That's pretty good. Change also applies to Might of the Ruined King. So that's Ornn's extra upgrade. Hydra lifesteal from 12 to 18. Damn, that's actually really good. And the radius is up by 50. 128 or 125 distance in front of you at your basic attack range. Okay. So Fiora really likes that. We're buffing Titanic Hydra's health scaling to increase the threat it presents in HP heavy builds. Sure. Spell Thief's Edge. Tributes proc now require an ally champion, even dead ally champions within 2,000 range. Okay, so the new strategy is you still play Soraka and Sona top, but you have your jungler come and gank your lane and die every 2 minutes. Spectral Sickle. Removing support items from being blah blah blah. Same exact thing. Mobi Boots are up by 100 gold. I think they could have even made these 1100. But this is a good little increase for now. It didn't make sense that they were so cheap. Mobi Boots are probably the best boots in the game. Well, actually Ninja Tabbies are the best boots in the game, but for most characters, Boots of Mobility are fucking crazy good. And Swifties, giving them an extra 5 movement speed, I think is really good because it actually makes this choice more meaningful. You think that 5 movement speed isn't really a lot, but, you know, Singed with an extra 5 movement speed, or who else would buy these? I guess some Hecarim players, some Rammus players. They're pretty good. I like actually making this a meaningful choice. Cool. They should have them like, you know the boots in Dota that you get to toggle on and off of like what effect you want? Just combine these into one pair of toggleable boots. And make them 1,200 gold. Problem solved.